visible?
Yes, sir. You are clear, and the presentation is also visible.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
First of all, a very good afternoon to all our friends on this call. I am Shitanshu Jain. I am a strategy consultant focusing on digital construction for the Indian construction industry. And our agenda and motive is to help professionals and large organizations like yourself move to a digital transformation practices, which we believe are very important. They were earlier also very important, but now with the current scheme of things and how the industry is changing, they have become even more important for this decade. So in next couple of next 5 to 10 minutes, I will be sharing with you what we as Capricorn do in BIM programs, and especially in enablement of you as professionals and as organizations, and how we can help you in adoption of technology in a much better way. So as Capricorn, we are Autodesk Platinum partner. We have been Autodesk partners for more than 25 years now. And apart from focusing on the design and the construction technologies for organizations and professionals like yourself, we are also we're technology partners for design in manufacturing, media and media and entertainment sectors. We, apart from softwares, we are also a value-added services in terms of a training center, Autodesk training center across India. And we also provide certification both at a user level and professional level to professionals like yourself. So like I mentioned, so we are an Autodesk authorized training center, and this we have been in there for last couple of decades. Little bit about our Capricorn BIM team, which will help you now and has been helping you previously and will be helping you in future in enabling you in terms of BIM programs. So we across India have a 40+ BIM experts from engineering, architecture, construction management, and you can manufacturing industry. So all are BIM enabled professionals. They are certified by the respective OEMs, that might be Autodesk or the relevant technology which we are using. And we are located physically in cities of Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad, and Jaipur to provide you on-site and within the city location training services. But with current scheme of things, with everything becoming online, we are not limited by geographical limitations, geographical location. So anywhere in the world, in fact, we are providing this training and implementation services. So yes, so apart from AEC building and infrastructure focus, we are also provide implementation and BIM services around manufacturing, M&E, specified around government projects, government services, and then education and graphic arts. Specifically in terms of AEC focused solutions, so if I bifurcate it further, so from entire construction process, so within that, in terms of design profiles, architecture, MEPF, structure, interior design, etc., landscape, and then at a larger scale, we also have technology solutions for city planning, water, wastewater, facility management, etc. And apart from our training services, we have a dedicated support team, and not only towards IT support of like you might have known as a software support, it's also around your functional and technical requirements of your software. So anytime you are stuck with using any of Autodesk softwares or other softwares, you can contact us on through various modes. So either through your phone, through web support, or live chat, or drop in an email anytime, we would be there to support you. Moving more specific to the BIM enablement programs that we are doing for professionals and organizations like yourself. So first, why our programs are different from others? So we have been doing training programs, you can say, for last 30 years now. And we have realized that at the core of all these programs lies people. People like yourself. Even in an organization, it's the people who are actually doing work on these tools or these platforms. So in our program, what we have done is that put people first at the core of the program. So if he is an architect, the program is specifically designed around that person, or the designer, the program is more around that. If the person is a civil engineer, he will be more, he will be trained more according to his profile. Then a construction person might be having different requirements, etc. Second, the process which is involved in a construction. So each profile has a specific workflow which gives him an output. So for example, an architect might start from a concept level or a zero level design, and then his ultimate output is a construction documentation, or even to an extent construction monitoring. So for the entire workflow, what are the steps involved? The programs have been designed as per that. And then the third part comes, which is the right technology in that particular step. So what step, what technology, what that person's role is involved. Culminating all the three parts to it together, we have designed these programs. So keeping all these three things in mind, we run multiple programs for the industry. So they are primarily BIM workshops, BIM for design program, BIM for construction program, BIM Guru, and other corporate trainings that we run on ongoing process. I will get more detail into each of them over the next couple of slides. But to summarize, the first three, that are BIM workshops, BIM for design, BIM for construction, they are more suited towards individuals. So as professionals, like as architects, it might be different domains of engineering, interior design, BIM managers, BIM modelers, etc. The first three programs are more designed for them. The last two, that is BIM Guru and the corporate trainings programs that we run more at corporate or organization level, which are more suited towards your any size of design consultants, engineering firms, owners, developers, project management consultants, even to an extent prefabricators, precast in concreting and all. So whatever is their requirements, whatever is their workflows around that, these programs have been designed. So first, coming to BIM workshops, so like the one you are attending today. So these are very limited time, like 2 to 4 hours kind of programs, which we run, highly focused on 1 or 2 topics to address the current market requirements. So we keep on researching what is happening in the market, what are the current requirements, what are people looking for, and we run this highly specialized topic level programs. So it serves two purposes. One is it enables you to gauge what are the capabilities of that solution, what that workshop is on. And second is to at least start you on a path that you can start using that software if you already have it, and then utilize it much better. The second one, and this is our, you can say, our main program that we run for individuals. This is BIM for design. This is an extended program for that we run for 120 hours. So depending upon whether it's a weekend batch or a weekday batch, it can last from 8 to 12 weeks. This BIM for design program is completely aligned with an engineer or an architect's or a BIM modeler or a BIM manager's work role. And we follow the workflow of what they do in a normal project or a normal day-to-day life. And all the tools are aligned to the steps. So we are not doing a tool-based training over here. We are very clear about that. We are not doing a tool-based training. So we are not only teaching you about how Revit works or how Navisworks works or any other function works. It's more around, if you need a certain output, what are the steps which are involved to do that? So tomorrow, after completing this BIM for design course, you can go to any organization in the world and say, I can do it. You don't have to say that I will think about it or I will try it out. You can just say, yes, this is the output which is required and I can deliver on that. So over last 1 year, since we have started this program, we have certified almost 250 plus professionals like yourself who are primarily from architecture and the design community. A new program that we are going to come up shortly is BIM for construction. So more focused around the construction industry and the requirements of the construction industry, like professionals like yourself, like the workshop that we are doing today. So focus more around your project managers, your quantity surveyors, estimators, site engineers, schedulers, etc. So the first program that we are going to come out is primarily focused towards quantity takeoff and estimation. And so we will be coming out with more details and sharing with you all in next couple of weeks. So if you're interested in the same, we request you to please drop in our email and we will get back to you. Again, this would be workflow plus technology oriented training program. So the three individual programs that we run are BIM workshops, BIM for design, and BIM for construction. Next, more oriented towards corporates is a BIM Guru. So this is a program that we run on an annual subscription with organizations, in which the focus is primarily around how do we increase technology adoption in your organization. We develop the talent, so that could also mean hiring of the right talent. We help you and assist you in that. And secondly, how do we upskill your current level of you can say BIM usage in your organization. And of course, we support you in resolving your IT issues and issues which are related to BIM. So this is an annual subscription kind of a program. And we also, as a part of this, we also give you a lot of content. It can be Revit families, Revit content. And of course, especially in India, you have a lot of India-specific templates which are required for different domains. That engineering might have different templates which are required to use a software. Architect might have a different requirements. So for that, we have different. So we give you a lot of content as a part of this program to your organization. So that will make your usage of software very fast. And of course, we run a lot of corporate trainings. We do a lot of customized trainings for our customers. And these customers are not restricted by size or the type of projects that they do. But when they have a vision that they want to move to a BIM platform and they want to do their projects on BIM, that is where we come in and help them on strategy and planning of how BIM will be implemented in their organization. How do you optimize people? How do you optimize the right technology? Which skill set is required to deliver these projects in the right manner? So we do a lot of customized trainings for these kind of organizations. This can be done both online and on-site, depending on the requirements and the scheme of things. Over last 3-4 years, we have trained more than 100+ organizations, or you can say implemented BIM in more than 100 organizations. So just some appreciation letters that we have received from our customers. Some of these customers you might know about, or you might be associated with them in some way or the other. So I'm just going to quickly share some of the appreciation letters that have been shared by our customers. So this is a mixed bag of design consultants, owners, specialty contractors. So this training program is not limited by even a particular domain. So we have done implementations across the board for multiple organizations, be it government or private. So with this, I would like to take a pause and let me just check if there are any questions around these training programs, which we can answer right now.
Yes, sir. There were a few questions.
Yeah, please.
Related to when will the BIM for construction program start and what are the fee related queries. So we have asked them to please connect with us via mail for the information.
Okay. So BIM for construction program, so we should be starting it very soon. So we are in last stages of starting the program. So in the next couple of weeks, we should be starting that. Related to the course duration, fees, I request that you can contact us. So let me just share. So there are various ways of contacting us, and we are available anytime, whatever your query is, be it technical, be it functional, be it for training requirements or any software requirements. Ideally, I would request you all that please, you can drop in a mail to connect@capricot.com. So this would be the fastest way to get connected to us, as all of us are we are you can say mail savvy 24/7 nowadays. So this would probably the fastest way to get connected to us. Or once the things improve or whatever situation is in your respective cities, you're more than welcome to drop into any of our offices to talk to the respective trainers or the faculties over there and understand what is the right program for you and how we can help you in becoming more BIM enabled. So Pallavi, any other question? Just helping out over here.
Yes, sir. About the online workshops, like
Yes.
are the workshops held online, or what are the BIM standards that are taught here? These kind of questions are there.
Okay, so the BIM workshops normally we do online only, because this enables us to reach more number of people, and they are one thing. Sorry, so workshops are completely complimentary. They're open for all. So whenever you receive an invitation for workshops, you're more than welcome to forward it to your industry peers and your colleagues. So they're complimentary. Others are depending upon the course and the training programs. They are on chargeable basis. Sorry, Pallavi, what was the second question?
Sorry, sir.
What was the second question? Sorry.
What BIM standards are taught?
Okay.
Which BIM standards are taught?
So we normally refer to the global BIM standards, either PAS or ISO. But apart from that, so those are the guidelines that we follow. But apart from that, because Indian projects, depending on the project, that could be an infrastructure project or a building project, these we can say codes have been slightly customized or configured depending on the project requirements. So depending on your project requirements, then we can customize or configure these BIM standards also, basis your requirements, or what is your scope of work for that particular project. Pallavi, any other question?
Yes, sir.
We can take up right now.
One more question is there. To become a BIM modeler, what are the softwares to be learned? I think you covered that thing in the presentation.
Correct. So I would also suggest that you get connected to one of our relevant domain experts, and then according to what you are looking for, what kind of it could be either a job role or the skill set that you're looking for. Our team members would be more than happy to guide you what are the right tools and what are the right, you can even say skills in terms of BIM skills which are required for you to achieve your goals. So with this, I again thank you all, my friends, for being with us on this call for this webinar. And so this was around the BIM programs that we run as Capricorn. And now I would like to hand it over back to Pallavi to continue this workshop.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the insightful information. So we'll now continue with the recap of yesterday's session and begin with the demonstration. I request Shoaib sir to please take on the stage and start with the recap.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Pallavi. And thank you, Shubhranshu sir. Now I'm sharing my screen, and please confirm when my screen is visible.
Yeah.
Is it
Visible.
visible?
Now it's
Okay.
visible.
Okay, thank you so much. So it was a 2-day workshop. Today is second day of this workshop. So I'll start with the recap of first day. So yesterday, just a minute. Yesterday we started with BIM discussion, and then we discussed that for creating a BIM model or for building a model with information, we require a tool, an authoring tool. In this case, that is Revit. So we started with the Revit overview. So in Revit overview, we put up few questions. Okay, what does this software give us? So so what does it give us? It gives us a coordinated model, a single coordinated model for the better delivery of the project. And that model is not just an empty model, it is also computable. You can get information out of it. Who all can use this? So for that, multiple discipline people can work on this software. That is a team of architects or designers, then team of engineers and other technical experts, and team of contractors such as quantity surveyors and other contractors. So different domain people can connect together on the same platform and can work on a single coordinated model. And whatever changes throughout the domain will be taken place will be updated in the central model, and all all stakeholders will be updated accordingly. How does this software work? We actually also discussed briefly that it actually creates a single coordinated model, and because it's a single database, all the outputs are actually extracted from the same source. So be it 2D drawings or 3D views or quantities, those are all extracted from the single source. So whatever change we need to do in project, we do it in the single coordinated database, that is in this case virtual representation of the actual project, and then the output which we get in the form of sheets or schedules or maybe in the form of 3D views will automatically get updated. When can we use this project? So we can from the inception of a project to the operation stage of that project, we can use the same software. Then we discussed about yesterday Revit advantages. So there are a few more advantages that we already now know, that it creates a single coordinated model, and model is in respect of a project, but for a software, it's a database. So we have a single coordinated database in this case, and we can now collect all databases together, like what we got from different consultants or different stakeholders, and can run different clashes on it. And after coordination, when clashes are identified, we can assign those clashes to a particular domain person, and then accordingly changes will be made automatically. So whatever changes will be made in the central model will be updated throughout the domain. So change management is automated in this case. Then it automatically updates, like we already discussed, 3D and 2D connected views. So the documentation process is actually enhanced in this case. So you need not to manually update every drawing or every section or plan or elevation separately. You just need to focus on design, and the related views will automatically update. In this way, it's enhanced your 3D views output and 2D documentation as well. But for that, we need to use especially BIM library. So it has extensive support of BIM library, which we discussed a bit in detail yesterday as well. So I'll just briefly go through that part as well. So now we'll discuss about BIM library specifically. So in order to get accurate quantities, because this workshop is actually dependent on quantification part of Revit. So for getting accurate quantities, we need to also understand how Revit families work. So primarily, Revit has three types of families: loadable, system families, and in-place families. We discussed in detail yesterday that loadable families are similar to blocks in AutoCAD, that you can save those families with all its parameters as a separate file and can load it into multiple projects. But when we do multiple projects, we need to, according to the design requirement and the specification of the project, we need to create walls, floors, roofs, and staircases. These are all customized according to the project requirement. So that is why these type of families fall under system families. Then there might be specific requirement for a particular situation. Like yesterday, I gave an example that if I have a column and I need to wrap a table around that column, and then, for example, column size changes, then the table which is wrapped around the column will automatically get updated also, will get affected in that case. So here we are actually creating a relation between two families. In that case, it's a unique situation, and situations like these can be handled by using in-place families that we discussed yesterday. Then we also discussed about how families are divided in Revit. That is the hierarchy of Revit families. The hierarchy of Revit families are first divided by disciplines. So different disciplines are actually working disciplines in this case. Like you will have a bunch of architecture families, you will have a structure families, you'll have mechanical, electrical, plumbing. You have separate group of families here, and then a person uh, uh, will work on their respective domain with their respective set of families, and then they can collaborate together. So that is why, since disciplines are defined, you can get schedules according to disciplines as well. Then families are defined by categories. Categories actually are defined on the basis of usage of that family, on the basis of application of that family. So for example, you column has a specific function, and all types of columns fall under the same category, be it a concrete column or a cast in place column or a precast column or a steel column or maybe wooden column. So all types of similar functional families will fall under the same category. So that is why when you get schedule or quantities, you get quantities category wise. Then third order of this hierarchy is actually known as family. So the family term was introduced here. We discussed this in detail yesterday. So family term was introduced here. Now all components in Revit are commonly known as families. So family is basically group of elements with similar shapes and similar properties. So for example, if you have a concrete column, then concrete column would have a same family group. Then you might have different shapes of concrete column, for example, circular column or rectangular column, or maybe some other shapes. Those will have their own separate set of families. Then I section would have their own families, and wooden column will have their own families. Then, for example, in a project, you are placing an I section, and throughout floor, the size of the column is changing. Then we are actually creating multiple copies of that column just by changing their sizes. So with different sizes of the same shapes, we get types of families in this case. So if I take literally the term family here, then types are siblings of each other. Like I have this example of ionic columns here. Just we discussed yesterday in detail. Now and then we move to live demo of a project, and we discussed about how quantities can be extracted from that model. We also discussed about the differences between types of schedules in Revit, and I'll now again switch to the quantification part in Revit towards live demo. So just allow me a minute to switch screens, and then. Okay, so I think my screen is visible. Pallavi, can you please confirm?
Yeah.
Okay. So yesterday we discussed about creating multiple types of schedules. And we also discussed that schedules are also considered views in Revit. So it's a tabular view of a bunch of families which are loaded in your project. So it gives you different types of schedules, where schedule and quantity is specifically for those elements which you need to count for a project. So for example, I want to count how many wooden partitions are used in my project. Then it gives me 7 wooden partitions. But in this quantity and schedule and quantities option, I cannot get the information about the sub-component of that family. For example, if I need to get the material specification of each layer, which is applied in wooden partition or in any family, I need to use material takeoff. That we did yesterday. So this is actually the comparison between schedules and material takeoff. And as you can notice, for 7 families, I have used 28 materials. So in this schedule on the right side, it is about the same drywall family, which we discussed yesterday, and we are getting 28 entries here. So at this note, we actually wrapped up yesterday's session. We also discussed how sorting, grouping, and how can we group our families on the basis of, in this case, as you can notice, on the basis of floors, and in this case, on the basis of material. And we also discussed if we can also filter out other components which we do not want to see in our schedule on the basis of certain properties. So this was this project which we worked yesterday. And it's an ongoing project. It's a residential type project. And today I'll quickly recap the part where we create schedule by creating a door schedule. So I'm going for door schedule in this case by going to schedule and quantities, because I need to count the number of doors. I do not want to get all specifications like volume or area of the door. I just want to count number of doors, number of components in this case. So I'm going for schedule and quantities. Okay, I'll just save this project as well. Revit will give you reminders for saving your project. And we discussed that these categories of schedules are available according to disciplines. I just want to check architecture discipline in this case, because doors fall under architecture. I've got door schedule. Similarly, we can also give name here. We can also choose a correct face that we discussed yesterday. I'm opening door schedule in this case, and we got properties which are related to door only. For example, type of the door which I want to use in this case. So maybe I'll start with type mark. So each door is actually provided with mark. Then I'll show you that in drawing as well. Then we'll take family of the door. Then we'll take width of the door and height of the door, these specifications. And after that, I'll today also add cost of the door. Yesterday we didn't discuss about cost. Today we'll also discuss about how cost can also be incorporated in our schedule. So I'll open it, and this would be a preliminary cost only pertaining to material or the component. For including machine and man cost, we need to additionally add parameters. I'll also discuss about that. In this case, as you can notice, doors are having some marks in this case, by which mark, like D1, D2, I'll scroll and zoom in. So by these marks, I can identify these doors in my drawing as well. So yesterday, I also showed you the drawings. For example, on my ground floor, I have this ground floor drawing. And in this drawing, I have doors. This one is D1. Every door is marked. Similarly, this window is W2. D2 is this toilet door. And this toilet door is also given D2. So these are marks which are already applied to these door families. Right? So based on that, we have got this schedule, and I just want to again revise sorting and grouping part. We go to the properties of schedule. We go for sorting grouping option. And then I'll sort them by type mark, for example. So these are now sorted according to type mark. I just also want to know on which floor these doors are placed. I can now add another field, and that is by the name level of the door. So we can also add on which floor these doors are placed. Yesterday, we also discussed this, how do we add a level. Then we want to group them. For example, doors which are on ground floor as a separate group, and doors which are on first floor as a separate group. I'll again go for sorting grouping and group them by first I'll group them by, I think, level, and then I'll group them by type mark. And I'll also add header for level, and two groups I've got here. And I think I do not require this level anymore, so I'll just simply hide this column. So we have option for hide here and under our modify tab as well. This we have gone through yesterday. Now, since I've added costs in this case, so when you create a family or place a family inside a project or any component inside a project, for example, I'm going to ground floor, or on my ground floor, sorry. On my ground floor, if I was adding this, when I was adding this particular door, I can go to the properties of the door to modify this door. I think that most of you know who uses Revit here. And we can also add cost in this case. So whatever cost we add here in our properties of the family will be automatically updated inside door schedule as well, as you can notice in this case. Okay. So this last column is about cost. For this particular door, we have not added cost. Yesterday, we also discussed which door, for example, if I need to identify that particular door identify that particular element in our project, we can go for highlighting that element in our model. So I'll click on highlight in model, and it opens a view for us. I'll just go for another view. This is site plan. This is first floor. I just want to go for, yeah, I think this first floor is good. So this door actually is having that entry D5. This door. So you can identify that this door is placed in toilet and can discuss with your client and other consultants and can add cost accordingly. So either you can add cost here in the properties, or any property you can add inside the properties of the component, or maybe you can just simply go to schedule again and can also add cost in the schedule, and it will automatically update in the in that component properties. So for example, if I add suppose 12,000 INR for this particular door, and if I get back to a first floor drawing and check the properties of this door, now this door is also updated with the same cost. For whatever cost I change here, for example, 13,000 INR, yeah, 30,750 to be very specific, and then it will automatically update in our schedules as well. Right? So this is how these will interrelate. Now we'll also discuss now that we can we can also apply condition formatting here, like we do in Excel, that any cost which is more than 12,000 or 10,000, for example, will be highlighted in a particular color in our schedule. That is also possible. So you can also add color coding to your schedule according to certain properties. For that, you need to go to the formatting option under the properties of schedule. There you select the desired field, like in my case, cost, I want to highlight by certain parameter or certain condition. I can go for conditional formatting here. After clicking on conditional formatting, it opens with a set of rules, and you can also define rules here. For example, in this case, you can also define a cost between or not between or equal to or not equal to or greater than, or these are certain rules which you can apply here. I'll go for any cost which is greater than 10,000, for example. I'll add value here, and I'll highlight them by the color. Let's say a shade of red. And once applied, if I accept this condition, any door which is having a cost more than 10,000 will be automatically highlighted. So in this way, you can also add conditional formatting under the formatting option. I'm not using this conditional formatting for now. I just remove this by clearing this rule from the condition formatting option. Additionally, we can also take, like we discussed this also yesterday as well, the total of this cost parameter. In order to get totals, you can simply go for, again, formatting option, and can allow cost to calculate totals. And then after going to the grouping option, you can add a footer, and level-wise, you'll get the cost in this case. So level-wise, I have got the total cost that on ground floor, 26,000 of cost is needed for applying these doors, and for installing doors on first floor, I would require 51,750 rupees. So you can also accordingly add cost. Additionally, we can also add grand total for all the calculated values. That is also available under sorting and group option. I'll just check on grand total and can simply click OK, and the total number of doors and the total amount of calculated cost will be given in this case. Later, for example, if your schedule is too large, if it is not easily readable, like in my case, the schedule is not that big because I've taken a small project for this example. But for example, if you have a lot of items in your schedule, and you want to segregate by some visual reference, then you can also go for appearance of this schedule and can add a stripe rule function. This function was introduced in Revit 2020 version. So if you are using any version which is lesser than Revit 2020, that is maybe 2019 or earlier, you won't find this option under appearance tab. So after 2020 version, and this version I'm using is 2021, we'll find this stripe row option. I'll just check this option on and can decide the color for my first row. For example, first row, I'm going for a shade of blue, maybe a darker blue. And for second row, I'm going for a shade of some other color, maybe contrasting to blue. That is a shade of red, maybe, or any other color, whichever suits your taste. Then accordingly, once I apply this, as you can notice, my color schedule is now color code. Now I've got stripe rows to identify different items. You can also add this schedule on sheet for better presentation. For example, I have a ground floor drawing composed on this sheet. And if I want to also add door schedule along with my drawing, we can also drag and drop on my sheet. In my case, as you can notice, I do not have any space left on this sheet size. I can also change sheet size in this case. Sheets can be added as a loadable family inside your project file. You just need to go to Insert tab and load your desired title block. Autodesk comes with a bunch of title blocks also that you can go to Autodesk library and can find a folder by the name title blocks, and sizes ranging from A0 to A4 are already available in this case. In my case, suppose I would like to go by the size A2. I'll just open this size. This will be loaded in my project, and I can select the title block family, or in this case, sheet format, and can simply change it from the properties. I'll change it to A2 size, and this will allow me some more size to compose more components on my sheet. Now, for example, if I need to add door schedule, I can simply go to the project browser and select the desired schedule from the schedule and quantities group, and can simply drag and drop it on my sheet. For example, for some reason, if you do not want to see color codes on your screen, and one more thing, like in this case, width, the width of these columns needs to be adjusted. That you can do real time just by selecting this schedule and dragging these control arrows. Now, in my case, for example, if I do not, for some reason, I do not want to show these colors on this sheet, or maybe this is a color sheet. For example, I would like to show these colors in this sheet, but for first floor plan, this plan is actually a working drawing with black and white print. I would not like to show colors on this particular sheet. For that, we can again switch the size of the sheet, and can drag this door schedule again on this sheet, and can go for door schedule just by double clicking on the schedule. It will open in the actual schedule view, and we can go to appearance option, and where I applied stripe rows for my reference, if I do not want to make it appear on schedules, I can make it appear on sheets. I can simply check on this option, show stripe rows on sheet. This was introduced in Revit 2021. I'll get back to that sheet of first floor, and the colors on this particular sheet are removed. In this way, we can also control the appearance of our schedule. There are more to appearance, like you can change the height of the title bar. You can also change the height of the headers. You can also change the fonts and text. That everything you can explore under the appearance tab. For detailed overview of this schedule properties, you can contact us separately. For now, I'll move to another example where I can calculate cost on the basis of some formula. For example, in this case, the cost was lump sum about the component. I can now add formulas according to the volume of a particular component, let's say concrete wall, and can get the quantity of the concrete applied in a particular wall. For that, yesterday I created a drywall schedule. As you can notice, I already have this schedule in this case. What I did, I actually applied filter, and primarily this schedule was of category wall schedule. So I went to the fields, And as you can notice, it shows the wall category. So I have wall schedule in this case, but this schedule is not showing all the walls because, as you remember from yesterday's session, that we applied filter only to show dry walls in this case. What I can do, I can simply duplicate this schedule again just by right-clicking on the schedule and creating another copy of the same schedule. And in this copy one of the schedule, I can simply change its name. I'll just zoom in as well. I'll just change its name to concrete wall schedule, or maybe quantities, and can go to the filter option again. And instead of choosing dry wall, I can change it to concrete wall. And in this case, concrete walls which are used in my project are now highlighted in this schedule. Similarly, now I have an area of all the walls. Now I can also add volume from the list of fields. I'll get to the fields again. I go for volume option, load it as a field in this case. Okay, I've already created this. I'll just delete it and I'll show you how do we add total cost parameter. In this case, I've added volume. And as you can notice, now volumes are also given. Suppose these concrete walls are casted on site, and you need to calculate cost in the terms of volume. Then in that case, you can again go back to fields and can add cost parameter. Okay. I've already added that, but I've made it hidden. So anything which is hidden in your schedule, you can go back to formatting, you go to cost or whichever field is hidden and can make it unhide. And in this way, rates are already given in this case. If I go back to this particular component, for example, if I highlight this component in model, as you can notice, this is the boundary wall. I may show it in 3D. Okay, I'll just manually go to 3D. And these walls are of concrete walls, for example. If I get to its properties, I've already added the parameter for cost. This cost parameter will add only a value of cost, but this parameter by itself cannot calculate the cannot allow you to calculate according to its volume. This is just a, you can use this parameter as a rate in this case. This is not the total cost of the wall. So if you want to get quantities in lump sum as a cost of a component, then you can use this parameter directly in your schedule, like I used in door schedule. But for walls and for any component which is calculated according to area or volume, then in that case you can use this cost parameter as a rate. That is why in my wall schedule, if I go back to concrete wall schedule, I already have this parameter used as, for example, I'll change it to, the original name was cost. I can also change the headers rate per cubic meter, for example. So primarily this cost value is not applied to the volume. What the actual name of the field, as you can notice in this case, if I go back to formatting, is actually cost. The field which is appearing after area was actually named as cost. I just renamed it as rate per cubic meter because I'm going to use it as rate per cubic meter. Now what I can do, I can multiply rate by volume, and then I'll get the total total cost of this construction of this wall. So in this case, I'm only calculating material cost. If you need to also add man cost or machine cost, you need to create custom parameters. That is not by default available in Revit. So you can go back to fields, and I'm just pushing this to last, this cost parameter, and that is actually rate. So this proves that this rate parameter, which I just renamed, is actually the cost parameter, which is available inside the properties of a family. I'll get back to fields again. I can also add a thumb rule or a formula in this case. So in order to add a formula-based a formula-based field, you need to go to this FX sign. I think this sign is recognizable, and you can click on it, and it opens with a new dialog box of calculated values. Similarly, you can also approach this option just by going to the modify properties of your schedule. Under the parameters group, you'll find calculated values. It will launch the same dialog box. So either you find this option here, or you may go back to fields again and then create a calculated field. I'll just click on FX button, which opens with calculated fields, and I can name this field, for example, as total cost, or maybe total material cost in this case. Then I can add a formula or percentage also. In this case, I do not require to add percentage, but if you require to add percentage for a particular field, you can choose that field, and the percentage according to your parameter will be automatically added. In this case, I'm going by the formula. And by choosing formula, you need to also choose the correct discipline. Like in this case, this formula is going to be used for calculating cost, and cost is not a discipline specific component. If you, for example, if you are creating a certain calculated value for energy analysis, let's say, then you go to that particular domain and you'll find a specific type of parameter there. Similarly, if you are, for example, calculating some other kind of property, then you can go for a discipline-specific property as well. But in my case, I'm going to calculate cost, which is shared within all the disciplines. That is why I'm choosing as a common discipline. And here, under the types of parameter, you need to also choose type of output you want in this case. In my case, I want output in the form of currency. If you want an output in the form of number or integer or area or speed or time, you have all those possibilities available. In my case, I'm going by the currency in this case. Then in order to add formula, you can also use fields which are already available in our schedule. For using those fields which are already available in our schedule, we can go to these 3 dot option, and it opens a new dialog box for available fields. In this case, I want to take volume as a component of a formula. I'll click OK, and this volume of vol is now added as a formula field. Now I'll use asterisk sign, that is this, which is representation for multiplication, and then I also add cost in this case. If I accept this, I'll get an error that the unit is not consistent. For example, if I accept it, I'll get an error called inconsistent units. Because like I said, it's a very specific workflow that now I want total cost to be calculated in the form of currency, and the output for this particular formula is not currency. In this case, the output is currency multiplied by meter cube. So what I need to do is to remove this meter cube from its unit. For that, we can use a mathematical trick, that is, I added parentheses in this case on both sides, and I'll divide it by 1 meter cube. I think my screen is visible enough. So it's a small mathematical trick which can be used to cancel out those values which you do not want to see in your final output. I'll now accept it, and this will be easily accepted by Revit as well. So Revit is smart enough to identify the output units as well. And accordingly, you need to also take care of those units. Now I'll accept it. And as you can notice, total cost is automatically updated in this case. Now, for example, if I open a side-by-side view, for example, this perspective view I'll open, or maybe a normal 3D view I'll open. In this case, I'll just open side-by-side view. And as you can notice, if I change the height of the wall, for example, the cost will automatically get affected. So you should keep an eye on the volume and the cost parameter in my schedule. And for example, if I if there is a revision in design, that these boundary walls should not go up to, okay, I'll just keep it unconnected. These are actually going up to 2100, that is 7 feet. For example, now it is decided that these should not go up to 2100 mm, that is 7 feet. It should only remain up to 1500 mm. I'm changing its height, and if I apply it, as you can notice, volumes and total cost are automatically updated. So in Revit, you need not to manually update 2D views or schedule quantities. These will automatically get extracted from your 3D model. So what you need to do is to focus only on your model, on your design, and rest will be taken care by its own. And I'll just again change it back to 2100, which was the decided height for this particular boundary wall. Now, similarly, we can simply add totals for this cost just by going to sorting grouping option. The grand total is open. I just go for formatting. And for total material cost, I'll just allow calculating the totals. So in this way, you can create bill of quantities also by collecting all these schedules on a sheet. Like I've already told you that we can create a sheet and drag these schedules, and then you can make it more interactive. So now, this, because time is also limited, now I'll discuss about, there are a lot to discuss in a schedule. There are many tricks which can be discussed in this case. I've only covered the basic overview in this case. If you want to get a detailed training on this topic, you can connect with us. We have already shared our contact details. We'll also share details at the end of the session also. Now, I'll discuss about if we want to export all these schedules in Excel file for creation of detailed BOQ, let's say, or if a person, for example, you hired for quantities, is not working on Revit and wants to work on Excel, then you can also export these quantities in Excel. For exporting it into Excel, you go to the File menu. Under the File menu, you have an Export option. If you scroll a bit down, you'll find an option by the name Reports. From this option, you can export schedules. But before that, you need to actually open that schedule view. In my case, for example, I want to export this concrete wall schedule, which I just created, and also door schedule. Now what I'll do, I'll just go for schedule one by one in a particular view, and then access this option under File menu to export that schedule. Under the Reports option, you go for the Schedules option, and this will ask you to save that file in TXT format. Like I said, we can export into Excel, but up to Revit 2021 version, we do not have direct support for exporting into Excel. If you want a direct support for exporting your schedules into Excel, you can either use Dynamo or can convert this TXT file into Excel file as well. So for example, if I need to, if I do not have the knowledge of Dynamo, I can also open this TXT file into Excel because it's a delimited TXT file. For that, I'll just choose a location. For now, I'm just saving it on desktop, and I'll just call it concrete wall schedule. I'll just save it, or maybe I'll go to documents because I have lesser files here. I'll just save it here. And next option, it asks me to delimit my data. In order to delimit your data, you need to either use comma delimited option, space delimited option, or tab delimited option. Those who have worked with point files might already have this knowledge. I'm just accepting the default option, and then I'll open the folder where I saved this. I've opened my folder. I'm going to the documents, and in this case, as you can notice, a TXT file is present. I'll open this TXT file, and in this TXT file, as you can notice, the delimitation is used as inverted commas. This is not in the form of Excel. In order to open it in Excel, I need to access Excel. I open Excel file, and then we can simply open this in Excel. I've used drag and drop technique. In Excel, okay, not drag and drop technique. This will not work. I need to get to the open workbook option. I go to the Excel in this case. I'll go for open workbooks. I'll go for the location where it is saved in my computer and change the file type in this case. The file type in this case is TXT file. So we need to switch to TXT file type and then select that desired TXT file. Before opening into Excel, Excel will ask you to about the character from which you used as a delimitation. In this case, I've used a delimited data. I'm going for the desired delimited option, which was tab in my case, and then I'll just accept it. Now, as you can notice, this schedule is opened in Excel. I'll just zoom in for better view. So this is the same schedule, but this is not a smart schedule. These are just bunch of values. I've created a grand total here. I've added a grand total here, which is a total of these values. So if I make manually any changes in these values, for example, this will not update. So the point is, it's not a smart export option, but nevertheless, this is an option. This is a default option which is available inside Revit to export data into Excel. Once you export it into TXT file and then open it into Excel, you need to also save it as an Excel file. Otherwise, it will be updated as a TXT file itself. As you can notice in my title of this file, this is still read as a TXT file. I need to save it and convert it into from TXT file to Excel workbook, and then only you can save it as an Excel file. Now I'll get back to the folder where I saved this file, and as you can notice, now it is saved into Excel file. So up to Revit 2021, I have not explored 2022 much, although now Revit 2022 is also launched. But up to Revit 2021, there was no direct support for exporting into Excel. For that, you can use alternate options. For example, you can use Dynamo. So if you have computational design knowledge, or if you are into coding, then you can, and these type of scripts are also available online. So you can use these scripts or Dynamo tool for exporting data into Excel. And Dynamo can also work as API. So Dynamo is that tool which allows you for visual programming. Visual programming, if you also need to know more about visual programming and computational design, you can contact us separately. Because of the time limitation, I'll just show you the workflow. So in this case, for example, if I want to export some schedules in Excel, just allow me a minute. In order to save time, I've recorded the session for exporting into Excel, and then we'll go through it. So in order to export data from Excel, you can use Dynamo. This is the same project. I'll open Dynamo in this case, which is available under Manage tab. It opens as a separate window. Then you open your script. Like in my case, I've already created a script. In this script, you can define types of component which you want to export. In my case, I'm taking an example of exporting wall schedule. You can take any type of component which is available in Revit. It will automatically detect that. Then you can simply run it. And as you can notice, this data is exported into Excel. If you want access to this script, you can also contact us. We can also share this with you. And it has created a live link. My Dynamo is running in background. And if I make any changes in schedule, that will, in our project model, this will automatically update. Like for example, if I create new walls here, there are 77 entries, like I showed in, for example, I'll get back for a while. So as you can notice in Excel file, there are 77 entries, 77 up to 77 rows. The data is filled. For example, now if I add more walls, I've added retaining wall category, retaining wall family in this case. Now, if I get back to, it's a retaining wall family. If I get back to schedules, as you can notice, now the entries are updated in Excel file as well. If I go side-by-side view, for example, just to clarify more and delete these walls again, Excel will automatically update. Now the entries are up to 80 rows. If I delete all the walls, the entries will all automatically update up to 77 walls. So by using Dynamo, you can create a live link between Revit and Dynamo, and whatever changes you make in Revit will automatically update in Excel as well. So, similarly, if you, for example, this Excel file is given to a client or maybe contractor, and they added few comments in it. For example, your project is still in discussion. For example, in my case, this project is live and it is still in discussion. And for suppose I send this data to the person who is not using Revit, they can also add comments in it, and those comments will automatically update in Revit project as well. So another workflow is about exporting back data from Excel to Revit by using Dynamo. So I have this file. I'll just suppose add comments to it. For example, any comment like add more windows, just a random comment which came to my mind. Then maybe change plaster types. And then if I get back to Revit, and create a wall schedule in this case as well, to collect all the comments in one place, I'll take wall schedule. I'll add up families of walls, family and type parameter, not fire rating. And then I'll get to comments. Only this much I'm adding to my schedule. And if I run Dynamo now, I'll get to Manage tab. since it's a compressed view, so I need to switch to manage tab. I'll open Dynamo again. And I have already created a script for importing into Excel again. And this is a very simple script. And I'll run it. Yeah, I'll freeze it first. I'll just check the data because sometimes data is not. Yeah, comments is actually updated in this case. Yeah, these are all those data collected from Excel file. I need to get comments data, that is 4th column. Yeah, I'll just add that column here and run it again. Yes, comments are added because I've added only 2 comments, rest are null. Okay. Now I can unfreeze this node, which exports back to Revit and keep my, yeah. So as you can notice in my Excel file, in my Revit file, these comments are updated. Okay, Excel file is updating also. Just a minute. Yeah. You actually require good RAM support for this process. Then, for example, if I keep on adding these information in Excel file, example change finishes, and simply save this, that will automatically update in Revit as well. So it's a live link back to Revit from Excel. Then, for example, if I add more comments here, suppose this wall is a curtain wall because it doesn't have any volume. And if I add, for example, check SHGC value for glass, and I'll copy this to some other places randomly, for example, and save it. And as you can notice, okay, I'm saving it. As you can notice, these are updated in Revit as well. Although Excel takes time to reload in this case, but if you have a good RAM support, then you can do it more faster. So this was from my side about the model. Now, if you have any questions, we can take a Q&A break, and then we'll move to another session for this workshop that is about Autodesk Takeoff. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and we'll share another screen. It's a Q&A break. So if you have any questions, you can take questions for 5 minutes, and then we'll switch to another software.
Yes, sir. So let's take a few questions. There
Yeah,
are a lot of questions again today. So I'll be asking, like, is it fulfilling all the functions of project management software also? When we talk about Revit and Dynamo?
Yeah, with the combination of Revit and Dynamo, you can, to certain extent, can create workflow for project management purposes also. Although there is no direct option there are no direct parameters. For example, like for costing, for adding cost, I actually need to create a custom parameter that I added by creating a formula. So yes, by adding custom parameters and by creating a Dynamo, by using Dynamo workflows, you can customize your software according to your requirements. Although I think another session that is for about Autodesk Takeoff, that is more relevant for this kind of job.
For project management related tools, we'll have a more detailed discussion post this Q&A break. A lot of doubts related to field activities and during the construction process will be cleared. There is another question. Does the location need to be kept constant for both Revit and Excel while running Dynamo script? Does it also need changed path to file?
Yeah, you can specify that path change in Dynamo itself, and this will automatically update accordingly.
Okay. one more question. There was no costing parameter when we exported to Excel, like, so is after exporting using Dynamo. So
No, actually, this workflow I recorded before webinar, and I didn't add costing parameter in that case because sometimes Dynamo, like I said, Excel and Dynamo sometimes do not work properly because of RAM support as well. So in order to avoid those circumstances, I actually recorded this Dynamo session particularly. So in this particular example, I do not have cost, but if you have added cost in your like for by creating custom parameter, that will automatically also update in Excel.
yeah. So then another question, how to define LOD for this project? What is the criteria to define the LOD of any project? Like, what is the importance of LOD in Revit? It's a very
Yeah.
complex topic in itself.
It's a very lengthy answer, and for that you need to contact us separately. There's an entire session on LOD.
Yeah. One question, is Dynamo available with LT Revit? Revit.
No, with Revit LT version, Dynamo support is not available.
Right, we're still getting a lot of questions. People are asking if we can add images of in the schedules, like can we add door images in the schedule?
Yes, we can do that. For on this note, I would like to show Revit screen for a while. Example, I think my screen is already visible.
Yes.
So in door schedule, you need to go to the fields, or in any schedule, you need to go to the fields. And as a field, you'll get a field by the name images. But here you need to actually manually add images. For example, if I add this images section, I need to click on this section. It opens with another dialog box, which went to another screen, for example. Yeah. So in this case, you can add your desired images wherever you have saved them. So you need to separately save your images and then can be linked to your Revit file as well. In my case, I do not have an example image for now, so I'm not adding any image. Or maybe just for an example, I can add a logo of our company for a while. For example, just a fun experiment. Yeah. For example, if I open this, so Capricorn's logo is added in this case. So image will be shown with the name in actual schedule, but once you check it on sheet, for example, if I get back to ground floor sheet, so this logo is updated here. So any image can be updated in this case, but there's no live support here. You need to save image beforehand. I hope this answers the question.
There's another very interesting question. I think we'll take up this as a last question. Rest we can answer through mail or in the end in the Q&A session.
Right.
So when we generate the wall schedule, Revit is getting length in is from center to center of the wall. But what about the actual dimensions, like from face to wall? Like
dimensioning is a very vast topic, although in order to particularly answer this question, I'll just show you one example. In my case, I've taken all the dimensions from the edge of the wall. And for that, while you are going to dimension your wall, you can just use wall face or core center accordingly. By default, it is taken as core of the walls. That is why it always takes wall center line or core. Otherwise, you can switch to the faces as well. In my case, sorry, screen has just switched. In my case, I've switched to wall faces. So you can, I think, use this option. Okay, any other question? There are lots of questions I can see.
Yeah. So I think we should continue with this session. In the end, if we have time, we can answer those. Otherwise, we'll answer them through mail. Sure. So allow us 2 to 3 minutes to switch, and then we'll switch to another software. Yeah. So let's take a quick 2 minutes break and then we'll begin. Yeah, sure. Okay. So I'll be now sharing my screen. Shoaib sir, please confirm once the screen is visible.
Yes, Pallavi, your screen is visible.
Okay. So now we have discussed like how does Revit work for quantification and how can we connect it with uh, Dynamo and link it to Excel. But then when we talk about the challenges for the estimators is mostly the working platform, like mostly the time consuming activities that we take in 2D drawings and how the teams are distributed. Even when a QS person is working and we're working with different set of stakeholders and personas in the construction in the environment that we are in, the teams are distributed. And we can take the example of pandemic where it is very difficult to connect with one person and a lot of time and value of the project gets wasted in the process. Also, there is a lot of disconnection between the 2D takeoffs and the 3D takeoffs. Like we either work on the sheets or we either work on the 3D models. Everybody do not have the access to models. They are not modelers, so they do not know what Revit is, but they are knowledge about how to do the quantification and how to do the estimations. So there is a lack of collaboration in the process when we talk about this entire process. Like we are still on the traditional methods of working and there is a lack of digital acceptance. So with the help of Autodesk Construction Cloud, we are trying to overcome those challenges with the help of these key points, keeping in mind, like we need to increase the collaboration between the different teams, between different stakeholders, the architects, the contractors, the owners, all the stakeholders need to come together at a single source of truth on a common data environment, which is the cloud, where all the information is being stored and all the information is being given to the people in the work environment without directly contacting them through mails or maybe through calling these processes. Also, when we talk specifically about takeoff and about the construction platform, the online platform that is there, we need to connect the 2D and 3D experience together. Even the person who's not a modeler and who needs to get a clear visual image of what is there on the site, what will we get as an output in the project that we are executing, the site engineers. So how all those things will be worked can be done with the help of a connected 2D, 3D experience. Also, manual working, as we discussed, has a lot of drawbacks, like there is lack of accuracy. So we need to improve the data with the help of accuracy. We need to get more standard outputs and more clear outputs because we have very tight schedules and very tight margins when we come to project delivery. So there is no scope of errors in this. To do that, we need to work on the standardization, on a standard way of a method of working, in which we can say like from the conception state of the project to the execution, and for the people to refer to the information that we have, there has to be a standard flow that we need to maintain when we talk about standardizing a format. And these all can be done with the help of digitization. This can be done with the help of common data environment on a cloud platform where everybody is informed, the information is being stored and managed. So we are introducing Autodesk Construction Cloud. It's an Autodesk platform. It's a unified platform which covers from the design stage to the building stage, that is the construction stage. And it has tools like Autodesk BIM Collaborate, Autodesk Takeoff, which we were discussing today in detail, and Autodesk Build. So there was this question in the Q&A session that how will the project managers be able to work? And so in this, when the project manager who manages all the activities on the site from the initial to the final stage uh, needs to know all the information, needs to be informed at every stage of the process that is working. So this can be very easily done with the help of ECC platform. These are the foundation of this platform, where we have Autodesk Docs, where all the documents are managed. It is a document management tool that comes with all the three different products. And then we have administrative settings and insight. Like when we talk about administrative settings, where in the environment where we are working, we need to have the information. We need to give the information to the right person at the right time. Everybody is not informed about everything. So we need to maintain that hierarchy. Who project members are should be there on the platform, who needs to be given what information and what permissions, what is the status of the project that is going on, what are the reports that we need to generate. All these can be done with the help of these platforms. So now when we come to Autodesk Takeoff, which is our today's objective of our today's workshop, we will discuss what is Autodesk Takeoff. We have seen Revit, we have seen how we do modeling, how we do quantity takeoff with the help of Revit, how do we connect it with Excel through Dynamo. But now we'll see when we do not have software with us, when we do not have 3D models present with us, only the modelers when they work. So how can we, for example, me as a quantity surveyor is there, and I don't know how to use Revit, and I still need to quantify the items in the project. So how will I do that? So as I mentioned, Autodesk Takeoff performs accurate 2D takeoffs and generate automated quantities from 3D models in the single takeoff solution. You do not have to toggle between the 3D model and the 2D sheets with the calculators. So it's an integrated solution where you can manage your documents, your 2D files like your plans, elevations, sections, working drawing, all those things. You can control the you can control the members in the project, who all members are doing what activities. You can assign them the roles in their companies. You can do that. You can do the 2D quantifications, you can do the 3D quantifications, you can add formulas to the quantification that you want to perform, and then you can get a combined consolidated aggregated quantities from both the takeoffs that you have performed. So how will Autodesk Takeoff add value? Value when we talk about our owners and we talk about estimators separately. Owners will definitely get more business, they will get more business because it will be more accurate, more time saving, and more value added product that will be delivered at site. For estimators, the track of errors, the revisions, now there are a lot of revisions that happens in the project very frequently since the construction industry is too dynamic. So we need to have those accuracies with us. We need to extract quantities directly from the model and from the sheets, from the updated sheets especially. So that information is needed to be there with all the project members at the single point in time. Also, we need to stay at the platform where everybody has same knowledge at same time, as we discussed. So they need to be collaborated. This, as we discussed earlier, these three are the unified data, insight, and admin. These are the basis to start with the project on the Autodesk Construction Cloud and Autodesk Takeoff. One set is the document management, where we understand that how can we control the uploading and the sharing of information of documents through document management. How we control the versions, those are being updated when we do some changes in the drawings, like there is a wall that needs to be shifted, and how do we update those versions in the drawings, those can also be done. And how those changes needs to be processed through approval workflow. We also have a approval workflow process with different team levels, within the different teams level, within a team. So how can we do that? And then comes quantity takeoff. Where we can do, how do we do the scope analysis? How can we do both 2D and 3D takeoff? So when we talk about Autodesk Construction Cloud, the first thing is that it's not a software that we need on our systems. We can easily browse it as we do or log into any of the products that we do. For example, we do for our Netflix account or maybe for our Gmail account. So when I play this video, we'll be able to see how easy it is for us to jump on to Autodesk Construction Cloud, and we can access it from anywhere we are placed, and we do not need to have our systems in front of us like we need for a particular software. So we get this page, and from like the login processes we do for any of the web logins that we do, it is that simple. We have our login IDs and password. With that, when we just log in, we directly land into Autodesk Construction Cloud platform. And we get here all the list of the projects that we have. And we can then select the project. And here, as you can see, I have opened the project, which is our demo project that we have been using in the Revit demonstration as well. So now We discussed a lot of things here like document, Autodesk docs, takeoff. So it will be very confusing at the initial state that what these are. So it's a navigation, very easy, quick navigation that can be done to switch on to the products that we want to go on to. When we want to manage the documents, we were on Autodesk docs, but when we are on takeoff, so with the help of this navigation, small quick arrow over here, we can drop down and then we can select the product that we want to go on, whether it's the project admin rights or the account admin rights, we can select those. I have here selected Autodesk docs, and here I will land on the project files. See, all the files are here, which has different folder structures. So these folder structures can also be made with different permission levels, with different members having access to each folder, what all information be there. For example, we can have folder structure like the architecture folder, structural folder, MEP folders. There are folders for specific reports. So all those things can be created here in detail. We can see here we have a complete list of description that is provided through attributes, like who updated the file, when they updated the file, and what information has been updated. We can go in each folder and there are different set of files those are present. User management, when we are there, as we discussed, in every project, every different project will have different set of members, different set of roles, and from different companies. There will be an architect, there will be a landscape architect, there will be a structural engineer, there will be contractors, subcontractors, project managers, quality surveyors. We have a lot of roles that are assigned in the construction industry, and we need to assign the roles. We need to know their roles and which company are they informed. So we can easily add members according to their roles and their information that is needed to be given in the project. So here in this, as you can see, I am on project admin because I will have the administrative rights to add members in the project. Here that is my name. I am from KPGOT Technologies and I have administrative rights because I have added members in this project. So if I want to add another members per se, Mr. Shoaib in this project, so I will add him with giving the project administrative rights or member rights. As here you can see, I have given only the project member rights to the member of the project. So this will help us in controlling the accessibility level also, what all products they can approach to, they can use in the project, and that will control the activities of the members in the project. Not everybody will be able to delete or add anything which is not required in the project. So document management, as we discussed, like it is the single source of truth. It is the foundation of the whole ACC that we have just discussed, where the information is being stored and the document management is being done. The information is stored here and is controlled with the help of latest drawings and documents and their version controls, approval workflows. All these things can be done here. So we'll see here how, again, with the help of this product picker, we can go onto these files from Docsin itself, and then from there, we can select the folder structure that we want to work with. Now, for example, from takeoff, I went to the files, which is the document management. I can add other folders, I can add members, I can give them permissions. And then in this, I have gone to the model and I will select this model. I will select different folders. I will see what all drawings are there, their names, their versions. All these can be checked here. As you can see, this is the version symbol as we were discussing, which we'll be discussing next also. So it is very simple for us to manage in here. We have different settings also, those can be done. Now, this is document versioning, which is very important because as we discussed, there are a lot of quick changes, those happens. And when we are doing the quantification, those are also needed to be kept in mind before doing the quantification and for the project. Otherwise, the whole motive of getting the right cost will be lost. So here, as you can see, the same file is being uploaded again with the same name as it is character sensitive platform. So when I upload the same file with same name, it's get updated to version 2, and we can see that on what version of drawing are we on. This is just the second version. We almost have the 20th version or maybe 30th version also. So for that, we can also compare the two versions. What changes has happened in the drawings, what are the new additions or what are the deletions that have happened in the drawings with the help of a color coded process. So here we can check on to the views that we want to see, what are the recent changes those are made in the recent files. And we can compare this with any version of the file, from the current to any, like we have 10th number of version update. So from then 10th to the first version, we can also refer what all changes has happened. And for this, we do not need to again refer to the plans again and again, and then we are not going on to ask the architects of difference. So that makes the visibility, the comprehension of the drawings very easy. Now, when we talk specifically about takeoff here, we'll see before starting with takeoff, we need to set few administrative activities in this. We will see, like we will have to set what measurement system are we taking and what classification system are we going to perform in the project. So this will again help in doing the standardized way of working. We have 3 initial steps that we need to perform: the classification, then adding the sheets, and then creating the packages. Creating packages are like work packages. We'll see in the coming presentation. So now as I selected the matrix template here, I want to work in matrix, and I have my own set of classification system, coded system that is there with me in my organization we work on. So we download the initial template, we add our template information in that template, and we re-upload it in the system. So this is a very small generic classification system that we have prepared for the understanding of in the today's workshop. And then now when the classification is done, our first set of information to start with the takeoff is done. Now, when we talk about content and documentation, you have added drawings and you need to manage the content in the files. So how do we do that? As you can see, these are the files, those are here. And there are many files which are here in the folders. So we need to filter these drawings. We need to filter which package are we working on. We need to select. Now, for example, I'm working on a civil package. I need to quantify masonry work and the concrete work in the drawings. So there are a lot of drawings in the folder that we have uploaded. So we can filter those files from the folder with the help of this filter option with the different types we have available. We can also bookmark the files in top. Now, for example, some drawings are needed by the civil package only, and some drawings are needed for the finishes file only. And these are the files that we very frequently refer. So those files, we can bookmark them on the with the help of this bookmark option. To start with takeoff, we need to understand that we need to create takeoff types. Takeoff type is the way to organize the information according to the maybe the area, the volume, the length, maybe the count that you want to do, the number of doors and windows that you want to do. And one specific option is BIM model. So when you want to work with the BIM model, you need to clarify what takeoff type you want to work with. And you need to add formulas to takeoff type. Now, for example, if we are creating a internal partition wall takeoff, we are quantifying only the internal partition walls. So we need to create that takeoff type, which will then get added to the classification system that we have added. And these takeoffs can be coded with colors so that it is easy for us to visualize, visually see that these things have been quantified. So my quantification is done, and I don't again have to go back to my Excel and check again whether it has been done or not, or whether it is right or wrong. So here in this video, like with this single button here, we can create a takeoff type. Now here we are creating a takeoff type for a slab calculation, what will be the concrete in the slab used. So, and we will do this only with the help of 2D drawings to understand better. So in the BIM model, if you just select the slab, so the volume will also automatically get updated. Here we are selecting the classification system under which that takeoff will come. We have given it the quantities that we want the output in metric cubes. So we'll add a default height, that is the third input that we need to give for taking out the quantities from a 2D sheet. This might seem a bit new and time absorbing, but it is actually very quick and very simplified tool for working on platform where we are not modelers and we need to work on the on a very simplified way of working. So now once we have created the takeoff type, we need to quantify from the 2D sheets. We need to quantify areas from 2D sheets. So we can do it with the help of takeoff in few clicks only. It is very simple. We can not just do the takeoff. Now, for example, if we select the wrong placement of the area, then we can change those areas again. We can modify those quantities again, which will automatically get updated. Here, for example, I've selected the first floor plan and I've opened that plan. So when I open this plan and I want to quantify, so I will select the takeoff type that I want to work with. The takeoff type that we created for slab. So we'll select that. We'll select the area we want to quantify. And you can see how simple it is. Even if we are not working correctly and want to change these points, how easy it is to calculate. And simultaneously, you can see in this blue box there that the area is also being given. And here, when you go on details, you can check the total meter cube as we added the formula here of 150 depth, like what is the thickness of the slab. So it is that easy. Also, when we work with quantities like slabs, so we also quantify the number of slab those are there. So we can add in a single takeoff type, maybe 10 slab on the single floor. So that will give us the number, that is the count, as well as total volume. So it is that easy. In the takeoffs, in the 3D takeoffs, it is much more easier for us to work. We can easily understand which object we want to quantify, where are they located, even the placements of those components in the project, how are they working, aren't we missing anything? So those can also be done. So now, for example, again, the first step that we do is to select the package that we want to work with. We jump onto that package, and from here, we have uploaded the 3D model here. We do not need Revit for this. We have uploaded a Revit model in this RBT file in this Autodesk Takeoff. And you can see the same model that you were able to see in Revit in the previous demonstrations. And now when we want to quantify the columns for first floor, so with very few clicks, I'm able to isolate my first floor area and I'm selecting the columns which I want to quantify. So with the help of visualization, we can very clearly identify where are the columns. Even if there are any errors, those are there in drawings, we can identify them. And now, as you see, with a single click there and with the quantity type I want to work with, the columns are being quantified, we get the volume, and also the drawing is being color coded. So model is being color coded. So we know that they have been quantified in the model, and we can now get the detailed information that we require. When we talk about aggregated 2D and 3D quantities, we understand that we have worked on two separate set of files. We have worked on a 2D we have worked on a 2D file, and we have worked on the model. So when we need to view those quantities that we have taken out in a single environment, that what all things we did in the single package, like a civil package or maybe the finishes package. So how can we do that? How easy it is to navigate between the summaries, how we can adjust the columns in it, and how the line item, all these things can be checked in the inventory here. So again, we will select the package for which we want to check the inventory of. Down below, we have this inventory box. And when we select, we see all the items that we have quantified, both in the 2D and the 3D environment are being quantified, and it gives us the total count and total quantity. So because we have made this classification system in hierarchy, in levels, so the information is also given in the levels and hierarchies, and this breakdown will give us a more detailed set of information. Now, for example, all the quantities that we have quantified in the right-hand side, we can see that I am able to select each individual quantity that I have done. Now, I wanted to select one particular column, and I wanted to view where is it there in the model, whether I have selected the right column, because sometimes there are different shapes or maybe dimensions of the column. So if I want to check those, if I want to switch it from one quantity takeoff type to another takeoff type. And now you can see, like, I've gone to the ground floor slab calculations from the single space. So the shifting from 2D and 3D and the comprehensiveness of the platform is so easy. We can also export these files. We can also arrange the columns, the information that we need. We can look for the option that we want. We can rearrange this columns for the level of information we want. So that becomes very easy. Now, for example, I have changed the group type by document. So all the documents from where the civil work has been quantified will be shown here. Exporting to Excel, we just now saw that it takes a few minutes or few time for us to connect Excel and Revit together with the help of Dynamo. It seems easy, but there's a lot of scripting required there also. That makes our lives easy, but to make it more easy, we have this here, which has a few clicks exporting. We'll select what takeoff type we want, what classification system we want, how do we want to group those, and with a single click of export, I will get the Excel file. And that too in the bifurcated manner in which we have created our classification system. So to comprehend the information, like what is the classification, those are there, what was the document that I have taken out the quantity from, what is the volume, what is the unit, total count. So all these things can be done. Similarly, if I want to understand from each file what quantities I have taken off in the Excel file, that can also be done again by changing the group type and exporting the files. So due to the shortage of time and the complexity of the process that we were wanting to show here, I'd like to sum up with the takeoff solution that we just discussed. So again, we saw that how our documents can be managed in the Docs solution that is there. All our files can be uploaded, shared with our project members there. We can review those files. We can assign those files for working there. We can manage our users in the platform that we want to add on to, the information that we want to provide to them, their roles and their responsibilities. In takeoff, we did how do we do 2D takeoffs, how do we do 3D takeoffs. There was just one example. We can also add more formulas and make it more complex according to the requirements. And how we get the aggregated quantities from both the environments together on a single platform. We do not have to juggle between different tools and softwares and pens and calculators to get the information. So we'll now again open for the Q&A session. Shoaib sir, over to you.
We're getting so many questions.
Yeah.
And okay, so one of the person reminded me that we spoke that cut and fill quantities can also be automatically calculated. And I said, if time remains, I'll demonstrate that as well. So I think you can connect with us separately. I can demonstrate that to you. But for now, since time is not on our watch, so we can demonstrate this to you separately, sir. Or I may share some links to your mail ID where you can learn about it. Then another question. What is the main difference between BIM 360 and Autodesk Construction Cloud? Valerie, I think we need to answer this.
So it is more or less the same. It's just that Autodesk Construction Cloud is the new platform where we are able to connect with all the three unified platforms. If we have BIM 360 with us, so it's now updated to Autodesk Construction Cloud. So we'll be able to look at projects in the same way. It's just the updation, and soon Autodesk will connect both the Autodesk Construction Cloud and BIM 360. Are there any more questions?
Yes, there's another question. This is working on Qt 2015 version. I think this person is asking about the version you are demonstrating on Autodesk Qt.
No, the recent Revit file that we work on is of Revit 2021. After 2018, we can, I think 17 or 18, we can work with Autodesk Docs, where Autodesk take off.
Another question, that can we add a manual calculation formula as we added in Revit also in QTO?
Yes, yes, we can. As you saw that one example where we added the basic value for height, that is 150, when we were calculating the slab volume. So those formulas can be as complex as possible. We can add wastage factors, and we can also do cutouts, what areas we want to eliminate from the areas that was calculated, like subtracting the areas. So complex formulas will also work.
Okay, I'm finding more questions. Another question is, I think I can answer it, that can we compare different Revit versions? No, Revit doesn't have downgrading support. So Acha, I think he's asking about comparing versions inside QTube. Is there a facility for this, Pallavi? For example, if you have a file in Revit 2019 version, another project in Revit 2021 version, can we compare them together?
I no, if you have the same naming convention, no, that cannot be possible, because the Revit file that you have shared once will have the same character, like the naming format. So then those
Okay.
cannot be done. You need to have the single Revit version for working on the cloud, like one software version for the entire project.
So you mean to say if you can compare only drawings within one project?
Yeah.
Okay. And then again, the same question, what is the difference between BIM 360 and cloud? I think you have already discussed that. Another question, can we have multiple roles assigned to a single user as was possible in BIM 360 environment?
Yeah, when you add users, you will have to assign a specific role to that person.
Another funny question, if there is any security to the data which you uploaded to cloud?
Mostly secured only. But for more detailed information, I think they can connect with us. We have Autodesk security rights also that we were discussing earlier. So that is there. It's mostly safe.
There are a few very specific questions related to few formulas. I'll get to those formulas and we'll reply them later. And then okay, I think that is all. Rest questions will reply online, and we are accumulating these questions and we'll send them back via mail. Okay, I think this is the time for closing the webinar.
Yes.
Pallavi.
So thank you all for connecting with us and attending this workshop. I hope it was insightful and you learned a lot of new technologies and new ways of solving the quality takeoff. Before closing, we would just like to inform that we'll be sharing our feedback forms with all the participants, and kindly share the feedback forms so that we can then share the participation certificates as well. So I think it was a great session working. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Shoaib sir.
Yeah, thank you, Pallavi.
Thank you, everyone.